Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Professor Dr. Rizwan Jamil Qureshi, and welcome to the journey of software engineering. And it's a new lecture of software engineering 2, that is lecture number 7. The lecture number 6, we talk about white box testing, we talk about structural testing. The main difference between static testing and structural testing, that static testing is performed by reading the source code, whereas structural testing is performed by exercising the code in terms of execution on the machine. So that's the core difference between static testing and structural testing under the white box. The main types of structural testing, we have unit testing, we have code complexity, and code coverage. These are the three popular types of structural testing. Unit testing is already discussed in lecture 3 or lecture 4. We try to test each function, each method, each module, each class or component at the unit level individually. So in case I need to develop a system like registration system or e-commerce system or ATM system, and there is a team size of 3 to 4 members available, the first team member, I will assign him withdraw module in case of ATM system. Second team member, I will assign him deposit cash. Third team member, I will assign him check balance or pay bill or transfer cash. Then the first team member will test withdraw module on unit level. The second team member will test deposit cash module at its unit level. The third team member will test his module in terms of transfer cash. So that's the unit testing. And there are something we need to take care when we are performing the unit testing, that test case in the unit testing is of its unique type and best of its type to identify maximum number of errors, because the objective of testing is to identify the errors in the software. And our objective is to identify the processing logic error or the business logic error. That's the objective when we talk about unit testing. We also try to identify the errors in the interface to ensure that all the information properly flows in and out of the program or the component or the module under test. Data structures are examined to show that the data is temporarily stored in the variables and it maintains integrity during the execution of the code or the algorithm. All independent paths are exercised, like we have grading program, average greater than 95, A plus, greater than 90, A, it greater than 85, B plus, B, C plus, C, D plus, D, less than 60, fail. That's the objective. Boundary conditions are also tested while performing the unit test. Test of data flow across a module interface are required before any other test is initialized. Execution path should be tested in terms of all possible cases. When we talk about computational errors and the business logic errors, comparison of incorrect control flow conditions, looping structure, the most common errors in the computation are incorrect arithmetic precedence, incorrect initialization, precision accuracy. We perform unit testing in parallel to the coding, that all programmers will write the code and will test. You write each line, you test it, you write each function or method, you test it, you complete one module, you test it. Sometimes we use stubs and drivers. So what is a stub and what's a driver? We use them during the integration testing. When we are performing top-down integration testing, we use stubs. When we are performing bottom-up integration, then we use driver. Stub is a dummy module in case of top-down integration. whereas driver has some code to receive the input from the another module or component. Then second type of structural testing is code complexity. We try to make sure that all structures that are involved in the module or the component like sequence, selection, repetition, all should be tested. And cyclomatic complexity is noted as VG. VG stands for vertices of the graph, and there is a formula, number of edges minus number of nodes plus 2. Or we have another formula, number of predicate nodes plus 1. So number of predicate nodes is a decision making node. Then we have code coverage. Code coverage means we make sure that 100% code has been tested before we ask the customer to test. Now we have automated testing tools. Do you remember any automated testing tool to test the 100% code coverage or code coverage? In case of .NET, we have NCover, and in case of Java, we have JBlanket. Now the customers has a trend that before you ask the customer to test, he will ask you to show me a report from code coverage tool like NCover that programmer or the team has tested 100% code before you ask the customer. Don't waste his time, effort and resources. So that's about the code coverage. Then we have black box testing. Black box testing is also known as functional testing or behavioral testing. So we try to make sure that all functional requirements have been satisfied during the black box testing, and we don't have source code, we only have executable code, and we don't have any internal knowledge of the code under test. So that's the main objective, is to exercise all functional requirements of software. Main type of errors we try to figure out: incorrect or missing functions, interface errors, errors in the data structure or external database access, behavioral or performance errors, initialization and termination errors. So tests are designed to answer the following questions. For example, I'm going to discuss them. How is functionally validated? In terms of validation checks, like name is there should not be number when you try to have input like Rizwan Jamil 1 to 3. It's not acceptable. Have you performed the validation check for that? Similarly, mobile number or Jawal number, so your number like 0536474921 or A, B. So there is a maximum limit in any country. Like in Saudi Arabia, there are 10 digits. You cannot enter 11 or 9, and you cannot have ABC. So that's the validation test. How the system behaves in terms of performance. What classes of input will have good test cases? So test case should satisfy the criteria like designing a test case that reduces the number of additional test cases that reports about the absence or presence of classes of errors. Then you have main types of black box testing. Anybody knows? Requirement based testing is the first type of black box. You have a matrix, it's called requirement traceability matrix, RTM. The main contents of requirement traceability matrix: requirement ID, details of requirements, its priority, high, medium, low, test condition, test case, phase of testing. So we have checklist that this is the first requirement we need to test, this is the second requirement, and if it satisfies, we tick tick. If it doesn't satisfy, we have a cross. So check, yes, no. Then TED is prepared. T for tiger, E for elephant, D for donkey. Am I correct? No. Its TED stands for test execution data. On the basis of results we have in the RTM, requirement traceability matrix, serial number, requirements ID, its priority, high, medium, low, test case, total test cases, test case passed, failed, percentage of pass, and number of errors reported. Then you have positive and negative testing. That's another type of black box. Positive testing, like you have some people which are positive, some people are negative. There are positive waves from some person we receive, and sometimes we receive negative waves. Similarly, when we talk about tester, in the positive testing, the tester is in the frame of mind to have correct inputs and correct outputs. So there is a checklist of correct outputs and correct inputs. Pass, pass, pass if it is correct output is received from the system. In negative testing, like a negative guy, our objective is to enter wrong inputs, and our objective is to crash the system, to fail the system, like negative guy, or we have positive hacking and we have negative hacking. So our name is there in the form, registration form. We try to enter number there, ABC 1 to 3. Joel number is there. We try to enter ABC in the mobile number, or greater than its maximum limit or less than its maximum limit, to see what happened, error received or not. Unexpected input is entered, and we try to see what is the behavior of the system in case of negative testing. So it is performed to handle all scenarios. Though it's not possible we can cover all, but try to cover maximum. Main difference between the conduction of positive and negative testing is the approach. As I just told you, there are some positive people, there are some negative people. So whereas 100% coverage in the negative testing is not possible, but we try to make sure maximum number of invalid inputs in the system. Boundary value analysis is the third type of black box testing. Most of the errors occurred at the boundaries of the system. Maximum limit the system can receive, like ATM system, like e-commerce system, transaction system. That is the objective of boundary value analysis, that most of the errors or large number of errors occur at the boundaries. For example, maximum input in case of grading program is 100, so we try to enter 101 or 110 or 105. Banking system, millions, billions, minus value, positive value. It is performed to check the upper and lower bounds limits of input conditions to identify maximum number of errors. Then you have equivalence partitioning, is another type of black box. We divide the input domain into classes of data. How many levels of management we have before we discuss the boundary value analysis or equivalence partitioning? There are 3 levels of management: upper management or top management, middle management, and lower management. Lower management is operational management. Top level management has different usage. Middle management has different usage. Lower management has different usage of the same system. So for example, top management normally deals with the reports. It's not suitable that we test the interface with respect to top management having the data entry, because that is the job of lower management. So according to the level of management, we design the test classes. Like in case of ERP system, E for elephant, R for rat, P for parrot, am I correct? Enterprise Resource Planning System. So Enterprise Resource Planning System is a collection of integrated systems to automate the business process of a company, like SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, M3. Then you have customized ERP systems. So ERP system, ideally speaking, it's a collection of TPS, MIS, DSS, ES. TPS, T for tiger, P for parrot, S for Superman. So tiger and Superman are fighting for the parrot. Transaction processing system. MIS, monkey or Mona Lisa, I for ink, S for Superman or Spider-Man. No, management information system. Then DSS, D for donkey, S for Superman, another S for Spider-Man. It's a decision support system. Then you have ESS, expert system. So TPS, MIS, DSS and that ES are there. TPS is used by lower management. It deals with transaction of money, like point of sale system or cash at the cash counter of supermarket, Hyperpanda, Panda, Carrefour, Lulu. And in case of point of sale is discussed online, Amazon, eBay, AliExpress, Alibaba, not Saudi Alibaba. Then you have DSS. So MIS is used by middle level management. DSS and ES, decision support system and expert system, are used by the top management for decision making, like King Abdulaziz University. We have president, vice president, they are the top management, dean, vice dean, middle management, and chairman is the lower management, operational management. So top management has different inputs, different outputs. Middle management, MIS, has different inputs, outputs, like operational manager at the cash counter of supermarket, Hyperpanda, Panda, Lulu, Carrefour. The point of sale system is linked with the inventory system. So point of sale is deal with the lower management. Inventory system is deal with the by the middle management. How many items sold in the supermarket are deducted minus subtracted from the inventory system. So by the end of the day, the middle level manager will see how much is the sale and how much inventory is short, and then he will order to the supplier or the vendor to supply the items to maintain the stock for the next day's sale. And same, the top management decision support system, expert system will help the decision makers how to increase the sale, how to have the more supermarkets, open new markets, new products. So that's the job of decision makers. So according to the level of management, we design the test classes in the equalist partitioning. Compatibility testing is another type of black box. We try to test the compatibility of our software in terms of platform, in terms of hardware, software, in terms of server, in terms of browser, like Pentium 3, Pentium 4, dual processor, i5, i7, i10, Dell machine, HP machine, Lenovo machine, operating system, Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac, Sun Solaris, browser, Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, because Internet Explorer is no more, web servers like Microsoft Internet Information Server, then Apache server, WAMP server. Different compatibility testings are performed to test the compatibility of our software, like processor, architectural 32-bit machine, 64-bit machine, resources in terms of RAM, 256, 512, and so on, GBs, operating system, Linux, Unix, database from Microsoft SQL Server to Oracle Server, MySQL Server, Microsoft Web Server to a Tomcat or Apache Web Server, RAID, redundant array of independent disk, cluster machine, cloud testing, software development kits, JDK, Microsoft .NET. So these are all are tested, or some of them are tested according to the requirements of the customer. Then you have user documentation testing. That is also black box. What is stated in the document is available in the product or not in the help file, and product is explained correctly in terms of usage. The main benefits, highlighting problems overlooked during reviews, consistency of documentation and the product, and minimizes the possible defects reported by the customer. Then domain testing is another type of black box testing, like ATM system. It is not a solo system or standalone system. It has to work with the other systems, and it has to integrate with other systems like MADA in Saudi Arabia, in Pakistan, OneLink system, and each country has the banking system. During the domain testing, we test the business flow. Like after integration, it receives the input and it provides the output. So internals, interfaces and external interfaces are working correctly or not. Import interface, export interface, that's tested during the domain testing. That's about the black box. So we cover the functional testing, positive and negative testing, boundary value analysis, equalist partitioning, user documentation testing, domain testing. That's all we tested during the black box testing. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.